All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news stuff for you today. And what we're going to focus on is the whole Bitfinex slash Tether fiasco that has occurred. So if you've been living on a different planet, you may have missed this news. So now, mind you, this is a little bit old, but we're going to kind of go from old to new. And we got to recap what happened with Bitfinex. So Tether has been around for quite a while, and for quite a while as well, basically ever since it's been around, there's been a lot of FUD around it. And that FUD apparently has been long justified, but there is always that group of people that say otherwise, even though all of the evidence points to that Tether is being misused, or it's not actually backed one-to-one. And so for when Tether came out, it was supposed to be backed one-to-one. On their website, it said one-to-one ratio. For every Tether we have $1 in our vaults slash banks. Well, that changed after a while. Literally on their website, that same thing just one day sort of flipped and said, well, it's not quite backed one-to-one. It's backed by a bunch of loans and various other assets that we own around the world. Geez, when did that turn around? So basically, they've been using funds of Tether to do all sorts of fun investments around the world that apparently didn't do so good. So now Bitfinex is accused of covering up $850 million in losses by using the Tether that they have in reserve. Now that Tether is supposed to be one-to-one backed, so by using $850 million of it, it's no longer backed by $850 million. So therefore, the FUD is sort of real, and there is no debate about it anymore. They used $850 million. So basically, again, a lot of it is just not being used for anything. Now, interestingly enough, the market cap of Tether is just about $3 billion. And so that means that just about one-third of it is now no longer backed at all, and they had to dip into the reserves, and now they're desperately trying to get that back. So in the evolving story of a so-called stablecoin, the Office of New York Attorney General accused Bitfinex, operator of the, or iFinex, operator of the Bitfinex exchange, and the Tether cryptocurrency of trying to cover up the apparent loss of $850 million of commingled client and corporate funds. That's a lot of money. While researchers have tied Tether transactions to the spike in Bitcoin value that occurred in March 2017 and March 2018, the issue of the missing money is allegedly tied to a transfer of $850 million in funds to Crypto Capital Corp, which comes into play later, a payment processor based in Panama. The Attorney General says Bitfinex lost access to its funds it had transferred there after regular banks stopped handling its business and subsequently dipped into $900 million of Tether cash reserves. So they basically tried to move money around and invest in a certain way, and then they were like, no, you're not getting your money now. Whoops, 900 million missing. So according to the filing, Crypto Capital Court told Bitfinex the funds were seized by governmental authorities in Portugal, Poland, and the United States, but the AG says Bitfinex doesn't believe that is true. The concept of Tether is supposed to be that it's a cryptocurrency backed one-to-one by the US dollar or possibly other assets now. It used to be just one-to-one, and then they were like, it's burning a hole in our pockets. Can we do some investing with this? And everyone's like, yeah, probably. Who's going to know? So then it turned into possibly other assets. However, the Wall Street Journal points out the lack of an updated public audit, which they refused to do. If you remember that one, at I think the end of 2017, or maybe it was the beginning of 2018 when they were supposed to get audited, but then they were like, let's fire our auditor and let's just have our lawyers back it, where they literally had their banks say, yes, there's a one-to-one ratio, and then they signed it with a scribble that didn't even look like a name with literally no name under it. Wow. So they point out that the lack of an updated public audit has fueled speculation about whether the $2 billion or so that it should have in reserves are actually there. According to the AG, Bitfinex has taken at least $700 million from Tether. So it ranges 700 million to 900 million. We're going to go with that median, approximately 850, which is on most articles. After the Attorney General's statement came out, Bitfinex issued one of its own, saying that the New York Attorney General's court filings were written in bad faith and are riddled with false assertions. I promise I could say that, including to a purported 850 million loss at Crypto Capital. On the contrary, we have been informed that these Crypto Capital amounts are not lost, but have in fact been seized and safeguarded. Oh yeah, seized is safeguarded. It's kind of like when you do a crime and you get arrested and you get seized and then you get safeguarded in a prison. That's probably the same way you could look at this. It claims Bitfinex and Tether are financially strong. Full stop, and said it will fight these actions. Or maybe like you were doing some crime and money laundering and then the government seized and safeguarded your money. You definitely have access to it. It's not lost. It's just been seized and safeguarded, right? That's the craziest thing ever. So they basically deny that that they lost this money. But you can see here that these are some, Merlin is the Bitfinex executive, and then CCC is Crypto Capital, and these are from the Attorney General, and they had published these conversations between the two. So again, Merlin, the Bitfinex executive, CCC is Crypto Capital. Merlin says, I hope you will be able to send something pretty big soon, something big pretty soon. The situation is not looking good. And this is back in about November of 2018. Crypto Capital says, we are pushing every day. The previous KNF from Poland just resigned over the scandal of shaking down banks. Oh my God. So CC said, so it's very good for us to get funds released as soon as possible. So any realistic estimate about Poland, it was July when you told me the first time it was expected any time. So, yeah, so where's the money? And then moving on to another portion of that, it says, I need to provide customers with precise answers at this point. Can't just kick the can a little more. The international, I mean. They said, I will keep you posted here on the process of all international payments. Says Merlin says, please understand all this could be extremely dangerous for everybody, the entire crypto community. He says, BTC could tank below 1K if we don't act quickly. Bitcoin could tank 1K because of Tether. So these are documents provided by the OAG, the Attorney General of the state of New York. So it's the state of New York that is bringing them to court, and they have to go in front of the Supreme Court May 3rd. Now, I've seen a lot of articles, I've seen a lot of forums, Reddits, and people essentially responding to all this FUD, saying, you know what, it's a good thing we have other stablecoins that are backed and have been audited. Some other stablecoins have been backed and audited. I'm not defending those stablecoins. I'm not sure I like the idea of stablecoins to begin with, and I don't think a lot of people do, but at least they have been, at the very least, audited. Maybe something will come down the road with those as well. Who knows? But the problem is you can't just get rid of Tether. So some people are like, well, all I have to do is just sell my, Tether for Bitcoin or for Ethereum, Litecoin, any other coin, and I'll be fine. The problem is when you do that, when you sell your Tether for Bitcoin, somebody is trading you their Bitcoin for your Tether. So you're essentially just playing hot potato with something that sooner or later could go down in price because it has absolutely no true backing behind it. And when Tether starts to really crumble and goes to 80 cents, 70 cents, 50 cents, the problem is that that's going to be less buying power. Now that's billions of dollars of buying power lost for whoever's holding that. And that means the entire crypto industry goes down by billions of dollars, and tons of liquidity gets completely destroyed. And a lot of people, anybody that is holding Tether, when it all goes down, is going to be the last one holding the hot potato. And as it keeps going down, I once had, you could say a customer might have $10,000 in Tether, and that means they can buy a couple Bitcoin. Well, once it goes down to 80 cents, they can only buy, 1.5 Bitcoin. When it goes down to 50 cents, they can only buy 1 Bitcoin now. So that becomes a major problem of liquidity and basically billions of dollars in market cap, which is usually always equal to even more billions in market cap due to the process of this potentially destroying some of crypto. Now, of course, crypto would probably jump back eventually from this, as it has jumped back from many things potentially worse than this. This is very bad for anybody holding Tether. And we're going to get into what happens on Bitfinex. Actually, we could just jump to that. So right now, people are trying to jump ship from Bitfinex and their Tether. And what's happening is that they can't seem to withdraw their US dollar. So the only way to get rid of Tether is to request US dollar for your Tether. Now, I'm not sure if you can do that on Bitfinex. I think you can do that on Kraken. So that means that everybody would have to go to Kraken and request billions of dollars with all of their Tether. If everybody went at once and requested billions of dollars for their Tether, there wouldn't be enough money to pay for that Tether, because now it's not actually fully backed, and therefore there isn't enough money to just go, okay, let's stop this and swap all Tether for money and give up on it. It doesn't exist now. So somebody's going to be holding the bad hot potato in the end. And quite frankly, Kraken and any other exchange that might, the very few exchanges that would actually accept Tether for US dollar or fiat in any way, probably are very few. So what that means that people are doing in order to get out of Bitfinex, as people are sort of in a mass exodus, as recently Bitfinex took like some 17,000 Bitcoin from their cold wallet and put it in their hot wallets because they're paying everybody. And let me show you what that looks like. Now Bitfinex is at $5,800, yet Bitcoin is, well, rapidly climbing at $5,600. You can see that there is quite the discrepancy on Bitfinex as people are trying to get out. Now, some of these other ones, don't know about that. Local trades are always a little bit higher. Lake BTC, I don't even know what that is. But you can see that it's dramatically higher than a lot of these other just average exchanges, like Hitbit, Binance, like where it's actually, see, 5,600. It's about the same price there. Everything is always a little bit more. So what that means is that everybody's trying to get out of Bitfinex. They're all selling their Tether. They're all selling their coin and getting, since Bitfinex is basically not paying anybody out in US dollar, or the withdrawals are taking forever, or just being absolutely frozen, or just not going through at all. People need to get Bitcoin and then send that Bitcoin out to either their personal wallet or to another exchange. And by doing that, you're raising the price of Bitcoin, particularly on that exchange. And nobody's going on that exchange to sell Bitcoin, because nobody in their right mind right now would actually put their Bitcoin on Bitfinex to sell it at these high prices, because there's no way you're going to get anything off of Bitfinex. This is similar to BitConnect in a little way. And there's no way to get your money off of Bitfinex. So no one in their right mind would be like, oh, well, look at this high price on Bitfinex. I'm going to put my Bitcoin on there and sell it. But what are you going to sell it to? Tether? Well, Tether's going downhill. And right now it's still stable at its price. But with all of this FUD, you would be crazy to still hold Tether right now. Maybe in a few months this all blows over and then go back to it, which I absolutely don't recommend. But I know everybody's going to do what they want to do. But you'd be crazy to put your stuff on Bitfinex right now. Bitfinex is hurting pretty bad. And that means that everybody's buying Bitcoin on there with their Tether and trying to get it off there. And that's exactly what you're seeing right there. So now, moving on to more recent news, May 1st here, Feds just seized part of Bitfinex's missing $850 million arrest made as well. So again, Bitfinex has to go under the Supreme Court May 3rd, and they're going to have to show what's going on here. That could either just blow over and nothing happens from that, or it could be really, really bad. So the reason why I really want to talk about this one is because the person who was arrested, so part of Bitfinex's $850 million, is now in the hands of the U.S. Department of Justice. Meanwhile, a controversial businessman was arrested for falsely setting up accounts that let exchanges, including Bitfinex, based on claims in the indictment, skirt bank rules and the law. So funds seized by the feds from the HSBC Bank account were allegedly used to commit bank fraud by secretly transferring U.S. dollars to and from customers of cryptocurrency exchanges, according to the indictment announced for the Attorney South District, Geoffrey Berman, Tuesday. The indictment is specifically centered on an alleged scheme by Reginald Fowler. So Reginald Fowler is a known businessman. I think he tried to buy like a football team or a baseball team at one point. And interestingly enough, Reginald Fowler lives in Chandler, Arizona, or at least he did. And I don't mean to call out where somebody lives, but it's just interesting because that is very close to where I live. I could probably actually be at his place. I don't know why I would be, but in 10 or 15 minutes. That's very close to me. And one or more unnamed cryptocurrency exchanges to sneak their funds transfers through U.S. banks and had stopped doing business with crypto exchanges. Fowler and company, it's charged, lied to banks by saying the accounts were to be used for other purposes. An arrest warrant was also issued for Ravid Yosef, identified as an Israeli citizen. Listed among others in the indictment, HSBC bank account, blah, 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 is notable. Back on October 6, 2018, the Block managing editor Larry Kermack tweeted a screenshot of instructions from Bitfinex. Customers were directed to wire US dollars to their wallets via HSBC bank account such and such, identified as belonging to Global Trading Solution LLC. So this guy was essentially laundering money through exchanges, essentially bypassing exchanges that wouldn't do that, and putting it into just essentially a personal account, and many, many millions at that. So Reginald Fowler has been arrested, and he was nearby apparently, which is just interesting. And so now some of that money is part of the government. Again, they got to go May 3rd in front of the Supreme Court in New York. If they choose not to show up, I don't know what happens then, but that is going to be a sort of a spicy meatball, if you will. So now, yeah, exactly. Bitfinex funds could be in the hands of the U.S. government. It's facing Bitfinex is facing a precarious financial situation. If you have any crypto on Bitfinex, I would just recommend getting it off to another exchange. If that's your favorite exchange, get it to your second favorite exchange. You got to get your crypto off there. Turn it into Bitcoin, or whatever your favorite crypto is, whatever, and get it off Bitfinex, at least for now. Let this blow over, or let it sink itself, and then avoid that, because sooner or later the withdrawals are going to stop, and you're not going to be able to get the withdrawals off because there's so much Tether. You'd be able to buy so much Bitcoin, and they're not going to be able to give that Bitcoin out eventually, or the money out for this Tether. It just doesn't exist anymore. They're missing 850 million out of no more than 3 billion. In fact, we can go to CoinMarketCap here and see what the market cap of Tether is. So interestingly enough, like Tether, the market cap increased by like $850 billion not that long ago. $850 million, excuse me, not that long ago. So if we take a look at like the market cap, you can actually see this interesting increase. So we're going along here. Let's see, we got to bring it to maybe a year or so. Yeah, so we're going along at 2 million, right? 2 billion, excuse me, numbers, 2 billion. And then, 2,850,30 million, really, really close to that missing 850 million. So did they just print 850 million while they were missing 850 million? Where did they get the 850 million if they're missing 850 million? Quite the interesting debacle. Oh, look at this. We have 2,800,000,000. Oh, an investment has occurred, and we're now missing 2 billion. Very, very interesting. And now we have that. How did that happen? So again, out of this 3 billion, not quite 3 billion, 850 million of it is missing. Yet we have this increase in market cap by 830 some million. Quite the coincidence indeed. So the funds are reportedly not missing, but merely seized by law enforcement. It's just not missing. It's just they're merely seized. As the exchange explained a few days ago, while Bitfinex claims to be solvent, the sum may be unavailable for months in the best case scenario. Yet, the market cap of Tether went up 830 million. Very, very weird. How did they achieve that one? In the meantime, Crypto Capital, a firm claiming to link the world of cryptocurrencies with trading, has scrubbed the name of Bitfinex from its site. Just a month ago, Bitfinex was a part of that list. That also includes the now defunct Canadian exchange Quadriga CX, as well as Coinapult, Exmo, and CEX.io. Trouble was, Crypto Capital faced problems and tried to keep one step ahead of the banks, in essence obscuring the real purpose for the usage of the accounts. This has led to the funds being frozen in the past, later to be released, but now the practice of ad hoc banking has attracted the attention of authorities, with recent arrests in the United States, i.e. Fowler, of the funds of handling on behalf of those exchanges. So we got big problems in crypto, and if you don't think so, geez, you just welcome to Earth. So moving on to some slightly different news. CoinMarketCap demands real trading data from exchanges. So there is another sort of form of CoinMarketCap. It's called OpenMarketCap.com, and it purports to show the real market cap of various coins, because CoinMarketCap has been essentially inflated a lot of the market cap by exchanges wash trading and fake volume and things like that, and then that gets reported to CoinMarketCap. So then we have this larger market cap than probably we should, which is somewhat misleading in a lot of ways. And it's misleading in a lot of ways because, people like exchanges with high volume. And that way, when you go to sell $10,000, $50,000 in Bitcoin or some cryptocurrency, you're not going to lower the price or raise the price so much that you end up getting far less than what you were supposed to get. So if you have $50,000 on a very small exchange and you start selling off, you're going to end up taking all those buy orders away, and you're going to keep going down and down and down to buyers who would only pay less and less as you go, as you strip all those buy orders away as you're selling, and you're not going to get 50,000 for it. So people like to be on a big exchange with big volume, and then that way when you sell, you get your 50,000 and everything is peachy keen. But on a small exchange, that won't happen. So a lot of them fake volume. That way you go, oh, wow, look at all the volume on this exchange, on this small exchange. I'm going to go there and buy crypto on there, and I won't end up losing a lot of money when I go to buy and sell. Yeah, so it's very misleading. So CoinMarketCap is setting out on a quest to report more accurate trading. We'll see. The decision arrives after multiple reports that exchanges showed activity that could raise flags based on a discrepancy between site visits and trading activity. CoinMarketCap, one of the best visited sources of information. Again, with a bunch of fake information, it might not be. Although I use it on a daily basis, as I guess if everyone's going to use the same one, why not? However, I don't really take into consideration some of the smaller exchanges, and I don't use a lot of smaller exchanges anyway for extremely big purchases and things like that. So it's good for me, but I still, of course, would like it to correct itself. And it's not that CoinMarketCap is purposely showing wrong data. They don't really gain much from that, but it's just the exchanges that report to CoinMarketCap. So, it's maybe a little bit of both fault, for CoinMarketCap accepting this fake data, but how do they really know? And it is probably a lot of work, because considering there are a lot of exchanges these days, a couple of years ago, there were less than half of the exchanges that we have now. A new exchange seems to pop up basically every day. So the additions will go through two stages. First, with mandatory reportings on live order book data. Exchanges have less than 45 days to supply data to CoinMarketCap, extending to June 14th. After that, exchanges will be asked to supply data on their cold storage wallets, as well as historical data and other trading pair details. The third stage will require projects and exchanges to self-report various types of information to boost credibility, underscoring our commitment to remaining neutral by avoiding censorship and judgment of demerits of specific projects. We believe that there is value in publishing a wider array of data points to enrich the decision-making process of our users, CoinMarketCap stated, which I could agree with all that. Make sure that all these exchanges are sending you real data. Try to go through different means and methods to make sure that they are sending you data, or remove them from CoinMarketCap, which would be sort of devastating for their money. So either get honest and step up, or get your information removed from CoinMarketCap, which again wouldn't be good for a lot of exchanges, because that's how they get a lot of PR, and that's how a lot of people notice them, is that they're on CoinMarketCap. So moving on to CoinMarketCap, ironically enough, we are seeing really good growth. So we have, I think it was on April 25th, we did a golden crossover on the old MA. Now that's a pretty bullish signal, and everything's looking pretty good. We are nearly at an average of 5,600, and we're moving up very, very quickly. So a couple of things that I kind of want to talk about for the future, and I'll be probably talking about these a lot more and repeating myself over the many, many months and year to come. But Litecoin will have here pretty soon. I think it's in like 90 days. I'll get a more accurate estimate on that, of the day that it's supposed to have. I think it's just in a few months. Again, I'll update that more as time comes. And that's going to be pretty good. Now, I think Litecoin, I'd like to talk about Litecoin really quick. Now, Litecoin was and probably is one of my favorite coins of all the cryptos. It's been around for a very, very long time, has a very, very secure chain, a lot of hash rate. The problem is that Litecoin and Bitcoin are very, very similar, of course, because Litecoin is just essentially Bitcoin Lite. And it used to be much more valuable than it was. And what I mean by that is that Bitcoin used to have incredibly high fees because of various reasons, exchanges or wallets not working particularly well, a lot of transactions, no SegWit, no Lightning Network, no essentially Bitmain pumping lots of transactions over the Bitcoin network, and they would just get all those transactions back as miners fees so they could make Bitcoin Cash look better. There is so many reasons for the huge fees at the end of 2017 of Bitcoin. Many reasons. A lot of exchanges not batching properly. Many reasons. So it was really ideal to use Litecoin. I remember mining and just automatically transforming into like transmuting, if you will, exchanging into Litecoin, because you'd be a fool to exchange it into Bitcoin and then send that Bitcoin to an exchange or to your wallet, because it would cost you so much. The fees were so high. So you would do it with Litecoin. But now, you just definitely don't really need to do that. Now, the fees, of course, are still less than Bitcoin, but it is sort of, that gap is sort of starting to fade a little bit. It's not as extreme as it once was. And with Litecoin teaming up with like Mimblewimble and adding privacy features, I think that'll be pretty huge for Litecoin, because it'll just add a whole new functionality level to Litecoin. With the halvening coming up, I don't think it's going to have the most amazing impact on price. Now, it might to some degree, but what I'm really excited for is next summer, is the halvening of Bitcoin. And it's not necessarily the halvening that's going to make it explode. It's more like the psychology that will make it explode. Now, of course, with the ASICs not making that much money right now and big farms not making that much money mining Bitcoin, starting to get a little bit more profitable now. With it halvening, that's going to be really bad, and they're not going to want to sell their Bitcoin for a loss. So of course they're just going to inherently have to sell their Bitcoin for even higher price on average. And another thing that will happen is that all these news articles, all these news websites, Reddit, forums, anything like that, is going to be talking about it constantly. The halvening is coming. It's going to be 300 days, 200 days, 100 days. It's going to be 3 weeks, and it's just going to be article after article after article on it, and it's going to be all over the Reddit. It's going to be everywhere, and that's just going to psychologically make people buy tons of Bitcoin. So we're going to see a big price in summer. How long is it going to last? I don't know. We have only had 2 halvenings in the past, and of course that led to a rise in price. But again, 2 events in history does not make for particularly good statistics, but so far, so good. That would be like grabbing 2 random men from the planet and having them throw a baseball and then going, okay, that's about how far the average man can throw a baseball. That's not particularly good statistics. So that's all I have for you guys right now. Again, if you got funds on Bitfinex, get them off for now. Maybe this all blows over, put them back on later. Maybe it doesn't, and you'll be glad that you did. But the problem is buying Bitcoin right now to get it off. Buy maybe a smaller coin and get it off, but that's what everybody's trying to do right now. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. My social media in the description below. Follow me on those. I have been streaming a lot on DLive, the new blockchain platform. I stream like Monday through Friday, so you can check me out on that. Give me a follow. But that's all I have for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and as usual, I'll see you guys next time.